So we're super excited about all the new features that we've added on to the Youth Ministry Cloud on top of the things that you get when you experience the free trial. But we realized we probably didn't do a great job of explaining exactly what all they are and how they work. So just want to take about 5 minutes to try and walk through this and show you everything that you now have access to, and just an introduction of how it works and some ideas of how you might implement it. First off, you've probably seen you getting access to the youthministrytoolbox.com. We have over 3 years of PowerPoint games, PowerPoint sermons, administrative tools for things like running leader meetings. So a whole bunch of stuff. You get access to that using the same login you use for the Youth Ministry Cloud. And here's how you do it. You go to youthministrytoolbox.com, go to the resources tab. You get a preview of some of the things you have access to. Go to member login right here, and that's where you put in that info you use to log into the cloud. Log in and you're good to go. So we hope this is a blessing to you, saves you some time and some headache and some stress, and so we want to let you know that you have that. Now, the other thing I want you to see is you're going to notice when you log in, if after you've purchased the cloud, you'll notice a new section called Ministry Admin. And here's what this does. So when you go here, this is where you have this form that helps you to manage your ministry subdomain and ministry app. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like in just a second. And so you may be thinking, oh no, an app and a website, I don't have time for that. We've built it so that as long as you can fill out a form, you can create a website and app. And so that's what we've done. So you can see I've got basic info here. There's some social media stuff down here. Now, obviously I put Instagram. That's basically what we're using. But if you use Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, you can do that. You can also upload a logo and an icon. I'll take care of that for you the first time, but you can change it as you need to. You can also put events. Now, these are weekly regular events. So, for example, your Sunday school, your midweek program. So things that you do regularly, that's where you'd want this to go. And you can add as you need to. You can remove if you need to. We have about 3 going on. You may have more. And so you have that ability. Once you save that, this goes to your subdomain that we have set up for you at .studentministry.online or .youthministry.online, depending on whatever you set. You can see logo pops up, ministry name, ministry motto, whatever the case may be. Now, if you had put in some stuff in your newsfeed, which I'll show you an example of that in just a second, that would pop up next. But then you can see I've got ministry info, my contact info, I've got the address of where our church is if people need a map to it to get access to it real quickly. Again, I've got Instagram. If we had other social links, they would pop up there. Now, here's our event. So you can see the name of it, the time, the day, and this is a description of what it is. Now, here's what's great about this. So, instead of just having an info cards, you could tell parents or students, hey, go check this website out real quick, learn about our ministry really fast. So that's an option there. Now, there's also an Instagram feed down here. Now, I will let you know the network that I'm on right now is blocking that, but you get a little feed here. So a real quick visual way to promote your ministry. Below that, you got the gospel track. Now, this is an optional resource that you can turn on and turn off, where you can kind of swipe or click through. And so people that go visit your site can see it and read the gospel. So we just wanted to include that. I'll show you how to manage that in a second. And then a contact form down at the bottom. Okay, so that's what that is. Now, so that's that basic info. The other thing you're going to see is posts. These posts go into a news feed. So once you create one, you've got a lot of HTML capabilities here where you can add images or videos. You can put in iframes if you've got maybe forms you want people to fill out, things like that. And I'll show you just an example from one of our users. You can see it lays out really nicely here. You've got this read more button where you can get more info, and it gives you a nice preview. And just to let you know that everything is fully mobile friendly. So let me play a little here with my tools. And you can see, look at this. So let me refresh for you. The joy of technology, right? Okay, here we go. So from now on, there you go. So it's nice, mobily formatted. It all works greatly there. So you can see everything's mobile friendly, real easy to navigate, real easy to do. So that's the posts. So those go in the news feed, and you can create those. Once you do, you can delete them, edit them, move them to the top, whatever you need to do. Next, you're going to see subdomain app resources. When you see this tab, I want you to think about things that go out to your students. We've designed this so that the app and the subdomain is really for students and parents, as well, if you want to kind of talk to them about some things. You can see where you can control the gospel, all right? And you can also control if you want login functionality for your subdomain, okay? And so those things there are an option, and they are available. So you can do that. These things I'll talk about on another day because I don't want to overwhelm you too much. Public sidebar resources. So these are things that basically, if you wanted to create more pages instead of just having anything in the newsfeed, you can create these public sidebar resources. You add them just like you add a post, but they go to a different spot. All right, they're going to go over here on your side menu. Okay, so you click one, it's going to bring up a whole new page with the content that you created. You get some of those same, HTML tools that you got with posts. Cancel or create, that's all up to you. Add pictures, embed forms, do those kinds of things. So, technically, if you've got a registration form for camp or whatever the case may be, you can post that and share that there. Next is private resources. Now, these are resources that students have to log in to view, and here's how they log in. All they have to do is put in an email, which most kids have an email from school, honestly, all the way down to kindergarten now, which you probably won't have to deal with, but they type in the email they provided you, so that way we know who's getting added into the system and things like that. As far as just that extra level of security and protection for you, they log in, and then they can view some of these private resources. And then once they log in, that all works. So I would come over here, I've turned on the login, all right, and I would put an email address and log in. It's going to welcome them back based on their name, and now look at all these extra things I have. Now let me show you what's really cool about these private resources. So I'm going to click Revival, not Survival. This is this is actually a 30-day devotional. I've just put in 5 days here as a preview. I can go to day 1, and not only can I view these on my phone or my desktop, but I can also annotate them, highlight them, take notes. And so I can store those things and come back later on that same device and view them, edit them, change them, whatever. So if you think about it, you could push out devotionals to your kids so that they're getting into the Word and they're getting discipled, and having those resources. You could put out your sermon notes and they could pull it up and access it that way and take notes. So, not only is it something that's always going to be in their hands and easily accessible and interactive, but it's also going to save you time on those copies. So that's what that is. Private resources are things they log into view. Public is basically like creating extra pages. Next, you're going to have access to YMC leader sources, so Youth Ministry Cloud leader resources. Here's where this goes. These things will push out, much like the private resources, they're going to push out to the cloud. So in our mind, the cloud's pretty much for leaders. The app and the subdomain are more for students. And so that's kind of how we've set it up. So if I go to the home page, you see I've got this leader resources section. Anything I pushed out to my leaders would show up here. Now, so that's what that is. Now, you do have the capabilities, okay, to do a couple things. You can filter these. Okay, so you can filter who gets what category. So if you just want to push certain things to a certain group or things like that, you can do that. For students, you can actually control ages, schools, things like that. So you really get control over those resources. All right, now I want to show you one last thing just in this quick tour, and then if you have more questions, please always contact me. Also, if you have ideas, let us know. That's how we've grown this, is through people like you letting us know, hey, our ministry works this way and this would be great. And so here's what I want you to see. So you've got your planner. You're going to notice a new feature now when you add an event. You can also add to the subdomain, app subdomain, and calendar. Now this is, once again, you've purchased the cloud and we've got all that set up for you. And here's what that does. When you switch that on and then turn the event, everything creates just like it has before and just like you're used to. But there's one extra little thing now. Now, once you've created an event, you'll get a calendar link. And your leaders or your students or your parents can go over here and they can look at this, all right? And they can look at those notes if there's an attachment to it of something, a handout you needed to give them. And so they can do all that as well. And so it's just another way to kind of make your, your tools or whatever the case may be, more dynamic and useful. So that's the features you get when you pay for the cloud, the app, the subdomain. Okay, and you've seen some ideas of how to use that. You also get access to the Youth Ministry Toolbox. And so we hope this is kind of a tour of a helpful thing of how we're thinking about how all this works, and just some ideas on how to utilize it and use it. And then hopefully it'll help you get started or think about how maybe you might want to start implementing this in your ministry.